Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is your host Hassan Aslam and this is your channel, the Hodophiles. Look who's back. Well, Sebastian is back from his tour and as I promised, we are going to interview him and we'll get all the details possible. So let's just start it.
Get it going, man.
Hey Sebastian, welcome back.
Thanks, brother.
So just enlighten us, how did it go, man? We were really so excited when he left. Actually, there were people on YouTube asking about when will he be back and is he back yet? Because obviously there are certain security concerns, but now as you can see, this is 1st of September and he's back and he's fine, standing on his feet.
Yeah.
So he'll just walk us through his tour and let's just start from Lahore and walk us through, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, well, to answer your question, it was amazing experience, one of the best of my life, to be truly honest. So from the beginning, from Lahore, I've travelled around 7,000 kilometres. I went west over towards the Afghanistan border. I travelled north along that border until Chitral, and then I came over into Gilgit-Baltistan up to Kundra Pass to the Chinese border, and all the places in between here and there, Hunza Valley and Nadan and Nadan.
Mardan, yeah, Mardan is Mardan.
And yeah, so now I'm back. It's good to be home.
Yeah, welcome back. Your first night, let's just talk about how you started your journey. You left Lahore, as I remember, it was around 5 a.m.?
Yeah, that's
5
right.
a.m., yeah. आगे कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होएगी पाइपर पूरे हैं बस Sebastian, you won't be having an issue ahead. He says you have all the documents, so it's gonna be all right. See you, man. All right, man. See ya. Good luck and take care.
You're a good man.
You're also good. You came here. Let's see you in
Can't wait to see you again, bro.
September. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Show me those videos.
Sure. All right.
Yeah,
Bye.
Yep.
I left him off outside Lahore, and you reached Islamabad. GD Road is supposed to be the most boring part of your journey, obviously, because it's really hot and there's nothing much to see. It's all plain, simple road. So, how did you find it?
Yeah, like I didn't find it boring at all, man, because that was the first part of the journey.
Yeah, because you were traveling on that road for the first time, obviously. For us, we are traveling to north. This is the first obstacle we have to go through. So for us, might be.
I mean, after travelling around Lahore for a week or so on my bike, to get on that road, to have a straight road in front of you, open the throttle, weaving in and out of traffic, that was great, man. So that first day was really cool. I think it took me about 8 hours to get to Islamabad. So yeah, I had a blast.
All right, so once you reach Islamabad, this is the capital of Pakistan we're talking about, and said to be second most beautiful capital in the world.
Yeah.
So how did you find it? The first look?
Yeah.
Let's just say first look at Faisal Mosque.
Yeah.
How was it?
Yeah. Islamabad's a very physically beautiful place, set amongst those beautiful green hills. The whole city is lush green, actually, very planned, very neat, and everyone also very helpful and very nice. Faisal Mosque. I visited the second day I was there, I think. And yeah, that's set in a beautiful location, beautiful building. And you know, when you're there, you're in a very peaceful place.
That brings us to a very technical question. Islamabad is one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Yep.
Yet you told me that you managed to get a room at very low price. So, walk us through. What was the price? Which hostel was it?
Yeah. Now, when I got there, I obviously needed a place to stay, so I went on Google and looked for hostel, and came up with Pakistan Youth Hostel. I think they have about 6 or 7 hostels around the north. And they give a room for a foreigner for 600 rupees, which is pretty reasonable, especially in Islamabad. You know? So I was more than happy with that. And
It's kind of free, you know.
hey,
It's kind of free.
yeah, yeah. And I ended up staying there for about 3 or 4 days and exploring both in the city and also taking a couple of rides, a couple of hours out of the city and finding some nice places.
Into Margala Mountains.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about Islamabad, being the capital of Pakistan, is obviously this city was purposely built in the 1960s to be the capital. So what's happened now, I think, upon reflecting on the whole of my journey, is that Islamabad is sort of in its own little niche. Funnily enough, it doesn't actually reflect the rest of Pakistan at all. Its traffic is generally very orderly, very well behaved compared to the chaos that reigns everywhere else. Islamabad is quite expensive. Everywhere else is really cheap, and it's also very clean and very planned. And I guess you could say that these aren't very common phenomena when you're moving around Pakistan. Yeah, so that's what I found interesting about the capital. Yeah, just a small observation.
So, from Lahore to Islamabad, it's more like a plain road.
Yeah.
And no mountains. From Islamabad, I believe your original journey started. You know, so you started to going off into, let's say, into mountains and into different terrains, different cultures, different people.
Yes.
So from Islamabad onward, shed some light on it.
Once I'd explored around Islamabad for about 4 days, I continued on that GT road to almost all the way to Peshawar. That was where I turned off through the city of Mardan, and just on the outskirts there I spent my second night. I was just having tea with the shop owner, and he sort of offered for me to stay at his place and what have you. So that's where that began, and that's where the roads become thinner, the road quality becomes less, and the enjoyment level goes through the roof because you're away from the mainstream, away from the main roads, away from the traffic, and sort of heading up into a bit of higher elevation, seeing some more beautiful scenery, and that was where I was really starting to be happy, you know, like to head up into the northern area and everything that lays there. Yeah.
So after Peshawar and Mardan, we are coming to the core of this tour.
Yep.
The northern areas of Pakistan. That's the real target here. So it's all mountains now?
Yeah. Yes.
Walk us through, man.
Yeah, that's right. Now the road from Mardan to Chitral is currently under construction, and it was an interesting day's ride, you know. Well, it doesn't take one day to get to Chitral, but to Deer or Drosh, that road is just in the most destitute condition. We're talking mud piles, you know, this deep as the workers go about sort of relaying the road with a new concrete surface and what have you. So while that's happened, it's all obviously just been chopped up into a mud pile, and it was a bit of a battle to get through, but I did it, and it was a great experience all the same. As you're going on that road, you're sort of following a river there and heading up a bit higher. That's when you're starting to travel into the Swat region, and that brings a whole lot of differences and challenges in itself. But that's sort of like you said, we're getting into the core of the adventure, the northern areas, and everything that lays beyond there.
So about Swat, we have been hearing that Swat is like Swat has been center of all the conflict going on, let's say 5 years ago or so. So international media has been portraying the area to be safe haven for terrorists and all that. So there has been operations, and now you have been there. I myself haven't been in the area before. You can tell us better how the area is now. Is it safe for tourists, for foreigners, for locals? And have you seen any tourists out there when you were there?
Right. Yeah, look, my first impression when I came to Swat was that you can feel that you're moving into a more conservative area. You don't, all of a sudden the women's faces are covered. Every woman, there's no exception to that. And you feel it with the men too, in the way they speak, the way they act. So it sort of gives an interesting feeling, because it's exhilarating for a foreigner to see, this type of conservative behaviour. But look, in terms of safety, I absolutely felt safe there, 100%. I'd say any foreigner or any Pakistani that wants to go there should feel encouraged to do so, because it's totally safe. The people are very hospitable. They look after you very well, and I'd say it's a really great destination to travel now. There have been some issues there in the past. Not so long ago, there was insurgency in the area and what have you, but you can see that the army has that completely under control. The area is safe. There's no doubt about it. And I'd really recommend people to go there and experience that side of Pakistan.
Well, that's good to hear. Safety being taken care of. The second thing is the culture. Obviously, you cannot interact with people in Swat the way you have been interacting in Lahore or Islamabad. Let's just say you just can't go and talk to a woman there.
Can't.
So just shed some light on how to survive as a foreigner in that region. Let's say if you want to interact with someone, maybe if you want to interact with a woman, can you or should you? Let's just walk us through the customs of the area.
Right.
That might help tourists.
In regards to women, there's just no chance of interaction with a woman, because they're all covered in the burqa, I believe, is that garment. It completely covers the face. There's a small veil so the woman can see out, but no one can see in. And even if you were to attempt a conversation, their belief, I guess, is to shy away from that and just have no conversation at all. So I just left it. I thought, you know what, I'm in this place. I'm not here to stir the pot. So, so in regards to women, there was no conversation the whole time I was in Swat. And that's the way it is for the men there. Apart from their mother and their sister and their wife, they're not talking to any other woman either. So I thought it was important that I sort of fit into that. But for a foreigner travelling that area, it's not so easy, everything is completely safe. There's no other foreigners I observed travelling through that area. There doesn't seem to be any any thriving tourism. That's more sort of when you head up to Chitral. I really didn't spot any foreigners in that area, and after a few days you can feel quite isolated. But you know, you can talk to the men on the street. There's more than enough guys who speak English, and they're more than happy to help you out. No problem finding food, accommodation, and all those things. I guess when you're there, you really appreciate that it's quite a backward sort of area. A lot of people are illiterate there, very high rate, and you know, people are just living simple lives, looking after the land, and so on and so forth. You can really see that generations and generations grow up, live and die in Swat without ever leaving, and that was what was conveyed to me from the vast majority of people that I met. So whether you think that's right or wrong, that's just how it is. And yeah, it's absolutely a place that people need to see in Pakistan, because you don't have that conservative, strict adherence to Islam that you don't have that anywhere else. I didn't experience that anywhere else on my journey, I should say. I haven't travelled all of Pakistan, so I can't preach to know it all, but I have the feeling that Swat is one of the most, if not the most, conservative areas.
Well, so that's a very authentic and deep insight in the culture of the area. I'm sure it would be really helpful for the people who are looking forward to go there and survive. So from Swat you moved on to Chitral. Yeah, we'd love to know about Chitral, and in particular about Kailash Valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chitral is quite a beautiful town. The people are beautiful, the scenery is beautiful. You see really heavy Afghani influence there because it's pretty close to the border, only about 20 kilometres away. In the 1970s there was a mass migration of Afghani refugees to that area, so a very strong presence. And I was made to feel really welcome. I met a couple of guys, Salman and John, who I remain good friends of mine. And they just made me feel so welcome. I spent the night at John's place the first night I was there, and took a tour in Salman's Jeep, just leisurely drive up into the Chitral Gold National Park. Yeah, so we had a bit of a look around those areas, and I ended up staying in Chitral around a week, which was a really awesome experience, and both got to see the insides of the city and also the few areas that are around. So the areas of note around that Chitral district that I visited were first the Garam Chashma, the hot springs. So a beautiful valley that leads up there, crystal clear water flowing through this lush green valley, towering peaks on both sides, and quite a spectacular drive on the bike through there. Once we got to the Garam Chashma, we had a pretty rewarding swim. We wanted to go a little further to the guy's father's house, who was up there. We were stopped by the Chitral scouts, who made it aware that I was only about 3 kilometres from the Afghanistan border, and they said foreigner isn't allowed to go into that area. So we were told to turn around, and that was okay, I guess. I sort of understood that they didn't want me near that area in case there were any safety concerns. So we turned around, headed back, and the next day I headed out to the Kailash Valley. Should make a note at this point that I was travelling with a security guard, a member of the anti-terrorist squad, Shafi. So he was sort of accompanying me on this part of the journey. So we went along to Kailash, and I'd heard a fair bit about this place before I got there. So when we arrived, you can see straight away the difference in culture. Women outside, uncovered, interacting with men, dressed in this beautiful, bright clothing. The children too in that clothing. And the interesting thing is that the Kalash people and people following Islamic faith just integrate perfectly in that community. So I'd say the population is about 50-50. It's not balanced either way, but they do integrate perfectly, and that's really nice to see. So we spent a couple of days there having a look around, invited into a few homes, sharing some lovely meals, and that was quite a great experience, that one, Kalash Valley.
That's amazing. So what I've heard about Kalash Valley is that it's more like a fact, nothing to do with just tourism. Pretty serious thing. They don't bury their loved ones once they're dead. So have you been to their graveyard?
No.
Because people who go there, they're like really interested in seeing those boxes in which their bodies are.
Yes.
So
I've heard plenty about it. When I was there, I should say in the Kalash Valley, there was a bit of reticence from the locals to be fully accepting, and I fully understood this. I realised like the pressures that tourism have on a place. So my Muslim host of the hotel I was staying, he took me along to a few places, but generally the women and children were quite secretive and stayed away, and but it was still.
The reason might be there's not enough interaction with. There, in the first place, there are not many tourists. So if there is one, obviously they feel more like alienated. There's this gap, communication gap. So I believe if the number of tourists will increase, then obviously there will be more interactions and they'll feel more comfortable.
I think you could go either way on that. You could say it will help, or you could say that an influx of Pakistani tourists would be a negative thing as well. I'm not really sure. That Kalash Valley has a lot of visitors during the summer months, and from what I could tell, I think my situation is a lot different because I was a foreigner, and maybe they just weren't sure how to react. And that's the same with me. Being in a new place, when you're surrounded by things that you don't understand, naturally it makes you want to retreat a little bit. It probably did for them as well. But I still had a great time, and definitely don't regret going there.
Well, I'll second you on the one thing that you mentioned, that there's this influx of tourists, local tourists, and we have been reading about it online that local tourists who go there, their behavior is not right. Previously Kalashi people, they have been known for being more interactive, and their festivals, there were certain things that they used to do during their festivals, and people from other areas of Pakistan would go there and exploit their festivals. So from that perspective, I believe they have started to, let's just say, ignore tourists and not like them anymore. It might be a factor. So I understand that it is a problem that's coming from local tourism and not foreigners. So I guess there should be a balance and some kind of let's just say check and balance on who goes there and how their behavior is.
Absolutely.
So otherwise, there would be a time when Kalashis will not allow anyone to come in the valley. All right. So Kalash is done, and from there onward.